Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talks with Bigface. I would just like to say a big thank you to everyone that's supporting me. I would like to say big shout out to everyone that's doing their thing and is still continuing to doing it. Big shout out to everyone that said that they would do better in 2026, and they're trying to do better. Big shout out to everyone that's just changed their life and just tried to do better. Don't listen to people that see you doing well and say stuff like, oh, I don't know how you people do that, I could never do that, or I don't know what you lot get from doing stuff like this, because what you will learn is that a lot of people will try to put you off on your journey, and they will do this because some people have nothing to give and nothing to bring to the table, and some people do have things but they just don't know themselves yet. So it does take time, but to everyone that is trying and doing their best, do not stop, carry on going. And yeah, man. So today we'll be reading from 48 Laws of Power, 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I've read this book a few times, and today we are reading from Law 6, Court Attention at all cost. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in a crowd or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all cost. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. So, as the judgment says, don't be dull. Don't be the person that's not willing to stand out. Be bold. Be willing to do what the others ain't willing to do. Take yourself from comfort and be uncomfortable. Because when you take yourself from comfort and you make yourself uncomfortable, you start to do the things that you thought you couldn't do. Yeah? So stand out and be courageous and take yourself to where you're gonna go. So, key to power. Burning more brightly than those around you is a skill that no one is born with. You have to learn to attract attention at the start of your career. You must attach your name and reputation to a quality, an image that sets you apart from other people. So again, you have to, when it says that, attach yourself and set yourself apart from people. Again, quality, what is it about you that you're good at? You have to notice that. And once you notice that, or people tell you something like, oh, you're really good at speaking. You're really good at time management. You could be a manager. Oh, you're really good at money management. All of these things are things that you're good at. But what you have to do is notice what you're good at. And once everybody knows that that's you, that becomes a quality that you can carry across the world. So every time people know you, they know you for this quality, for this niche, or for this kind of behavior. An image that sets you apart from other people. This image can be something like a characteristic style of dress or a personality quirk that amuses people and gets talked about. Once the image is established, you have an appearance, a place in the sky for your star. It is a common mistake to imagine that this peculiar appearance of yours should not be controversial. To avoid being a flash in the pan and having your notoriety eclipsed by another, you must not discriminate between different types of attention. So good attention, bad attention, it's all the same type of attention. So as they say, there's no such thing as bad press. In the end, every kind will work in your favor. So even if it's good or bad, it will always get you to where you're going to. So even if somebody says something that I'm doing is crap, and somebody says that something that I'm doing is good, no matter what they say, I'm still being talked about. You understand? And that's what the point is. Don't worry about people, just keep going at what you're good at. Society craves larger than life figures. Never be afraid then of the qualities that set you apart and draw attention to you. Court controversy, even scandal, It is better to be attacked, even slandered, than ignored. If you find yourself in a lowly position that offers little opportunity for you to draw attention, an effective trick is to attack the most visible, most famous, and most powerful person. It's a very good trick. A lot of people do it, even in music, even in acting. You know, it's the best thing is if you want attention, go after the big guy. You know, when people go to prison, they say stuff like, "If you want to get respect, you gotta beat up the guy that's got it going," or anything like that. You know, you've got to make yourself known, and by being known is by going somewhere and taking out them people. Sometimes that's how you get established. A slanderous attack on a person in a position of power would have a similar effect. Remember, however, to use such tactics sparingly after you have the public's attention. Once in the limelight, you must constantly renew it by adapting and varying your methods of courting attention. So, once you get attention, yeah, it doesn't mean that you carry on the same way that you got attention, because that way there you could lose it. Now it's about keeping the attention, but not in such a loud manner, but subtle enough to not lose it, to keep people entertained and to keep people intrigued. If you don't, the public will grow tired and will take you for granted and will move on to newer stars. The game requires constant vigilance and creativity. Pablo Picasso never allowed himself to fade into the background. If his name became too attached to a particular style, he would deliberately upset the public. Smart. With a new series of painting that went against all expectations. Better to create something ugly and disturbing, he believed, than to let viewers grow too familiar with his works. Understand, people feel superior to the person whose action they can predict. Did you hear that? People feel superior to the person their actions can predict. So what have we learned from this? We learned from this too. If you are willing to be somebody, or if you want to be known or seen, learn to court attention and learn to court it at all cost in the starting stage. It doesn't mean that if they cuss you or they say good things about you, both of them is good for you. You understand? And then we learn that sometimes being outlandish and being bold can get you to where you need to. So you could have a boss and the boss is the boss, but your boldness makes people happy. So they keep calling you in. We want to see more of him. We want to see more of that person. And then it says, once you get that attention, to learn to calm it down, to be not too, crazy. Always be out of the box. Never let people predict you. You know? Never let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. Always be, shake that table. That's why I always say to people, like, one thing about me is you get too comfortable, I'ma shake the table, man, because once people get comfortable with you, they think they can do anything with you. Never let people get too comfortable unless you want them to be comfortable and you want them to be in that position. If people are in that position without permission, make sure you keep an eye out. Thank you for coming through and tuning in. Soon enough, I will start having guests live with me on this show, and we could talk about things like this, and I could ask them questions. They can ask me questions that can help the younger generation or the older generation that is growing and going through things, and we are all trying to, and who are all trying to learn. So thank you again. This is the Big Face Show 2026. See you again. Have a good day.